Today we are covering the best professions for making gold in Classic WoW, specifically relevant to the upcoming hardcore servers. As a quick disclaimer, any profession could be profitable in the right hands. These are just my own personal favorites and why I personally like them. Now, Classic WoW is a very unique game in the fact that pretty much every profession is unique in some way. For example, in retail WoW at the moment, a blacksmith is usually a blacksmith, as long as you look away from the Dragonflight rework where they try to recapture the specialization element. In Classic WoW, a blacksmith is not only a blacksmith, you're either a weaponsmith or an armorsmith. When you get to level 40 and you have a professional skill of 200, you get the chance to upgrade your professions to a specialized profession, specifying on one niche within that profession. Now, choose your specializations wisely, as some recipes are only available to certain specializations. The same thing goes for leatherworking, where you can specialize into tribal, elemental, or dragon scale. The point I'm trying to illustrate here is that there will be many roads towards success, and while I will show you my personal preferred roads, there are many more, that you can take that will also lead you to success within gold making. Now, if you want a more in-depth introduction to gold making, both with and without professions, covering what to craft to make profit, what to farm, where to farm it, and even just how to turn 1,000 gold into 10,000 gold through flips and investments, consider checking out my Classic WoW gold making guide through the link down below. This guide is made specifically for the upcoming hardcore servers and even features exclusive access to a private gold making community upon purchasing it. I have made thousands of gold in Classic WoW. I have made over 20,000 gold in the first few months of Season of Mastery, and I have made over 1.4 million gold in Wrath Classic, just to prove that I at least know what I'm talking about to some extent, and I share all of my secrets in that gold making guide. Now, let's talk professions. My all-time favorite profession for gold making in Classic WoW is going to be alchemy, and for hardcore servers, I believe alchemy will be even better than it has ever been before. Now, first off, the reason why I like alchemy is that it gives a very steady income of gold as long as you use it correctly. There are a bunch of profitable crafts ranging from low-level elixirs that people buy in order to level up alts, to moongoose elixirs or mongoose elixirs that people use even at max level, to swiftness potions for movement, swim speed potions for swimming, and ultimately flasks for raiding. Now, the most of the profits that I personally make from alchemy is usually from buying herbs when prices are low and then selling high-level elixirs and flasks on reset day, which would be Tuesday for North America and Wednesday for Europe, or simply find out when most guilds on your server are raiding, and then sell flasks and elixirs around that time when their raids are about to start. Now, this is a highly competitive area, but you can also make a lot of gold. Now, when selling here, I usually stand at the auction house for 2 hours, leading up to when the raid is usually about to start, and I constantly post and repost flasks when I get undercut. So if most raids start at 7 PM, I am at the auction house from 5 PM to 7 PM posting auctions, always trying to be the cheapest flask on the market. Most people tend to buy the flasks that they need right before doing their final preps for the raid, so there's a lot of demand in this time window usually, and I have made 1,000 gold profit in a 2-hour window doing this before, which might not sound like much when you know how much gold you can make by flipping, but that is 500 gold per hour, which is about 10 times what people normally make when they're farming. Now, the reason why I say that this could be even more relevant for hardcore servers is the low-level potions and elixirs as well as utility potions. Now, for example, swiftness potions will be in higher demand than ever before for people lacking movement speed, in order to use it as a defensive sprint. For example, as a warlock main, I will constantly keep a stack of swiftness potions on hand just in case I need them. You also have lower level elixirs which people will use to level up their main if they're behind the curve, or even level up alts eventually. And considering you only have one life, people will do whatever they can to enhance their character and increase their survival. Using a DPS elixir like Elixir of Agility if you're a rogue will increase your damage output, which also indirectly increases your survival because you kill your enemies faster. If you kill the enemy before the enemy kills you, you survive, unless you die from damage over time or poison effects. Health potions will also be in higher demand than ever before, and although health potions probably won't make you a millionaire in Classic WoW, increasing their demand will also increase their potential profits, which could make it even more worth it to craft and sell potions. Now, the key to success within alchemy is to craft everything possible that will generate a profit. Even if the profit of making low-level potions and elixirs is only 5 silver each, if you get 20 sales, that is 1 gold. Now repeat this process across 20 different low-level potions or elixirs, and that is 20 gold. The profit margins are very likely going to be way higher than 5 silver, so by diversifying into as many different craftable items as possible, you will start making bank very quickly. Now, another reason why I like alchemy is their transmute cooldowns. You have Transmute Arcanite, which is baseline and can be picked up and learned by pretty much anyone, as long as you have the required alchemy skill for it. And then you have Transmute Undeath to Water, which is usually a pretty costly recipe on the auction house. If you can find this recipe cheap, it has been worth it to buy it in the past, as the profits make you break even very quickly. Having access to these transmutes on a daily cooldown will give you a guaranteed profit every single day by doing them, and this is also scalable into making an alt army for gold making, but keep in mind that in order to get the alchemy skill required, you need to be level 35. Now, the next profession that I really like is tailoring. Tailoring shares the same principle and philosophy as alchemy, but still works in a slightly different way. But the thing that they both have in common is that you can craft items for a profit, and they both have a way to make guaranteed gold. The guaranteed gold from alchemy comes from transmutes, and for tailoring, the guaranteed gold is from your mooncloth craft, which is another cooldown craft which has a pretty long cooldown, but it gives you some decent gold every single time that you craft it. On top of mooncloth, you can also make a lot of profit in different ways, like for example, mages and warlocks need certain items from tailoring for some of their class quests while leveling. And although those items are not mandatory, or the quests are not mandatory, people still do them. You can also make bags with profit and sell those bags. On top of that, you can craft armor, and this is where the bigger profit is made, but many recipes are either dropped inside raids, dungeons, world drops, or they come from reputations. Therefore, to maximize the gold from tailoring, you need to actively participate in endgame content. Like for example, in order to obtain the Bloodvine set recipes, you need reputation that you get from doing Sulgurub, which pretty much requires you to raid. On top of crafting, I love farming gold. Farming gold might not be the best or the most efficient way to make gold in the game, but it has no risk attached to it. Well, actually I guess on the hardcore servers you could argue a risk involvement due to actually having to kill mobs and being in the open world, but you get my point. Crafting an item, you always carry the risk of prices going down before you make your profit, while when farming you always get a certain gold per hour. Within the topic of farming gold, you also have a couple of noteworthy gathering professions, which I guess is literally all of them. First off, you have skinning, which is a very good profession in the early game when you can get way more raw gold by skinning mobs. In Classic WoW, I tracked how much raw gold I got from skinning alone, and from level 1 to level 60, having skinning gave me in total 215 extra raw gold. Now, there are a couple of reasons behind this. Number one is that you will kill a lot of mobs while leveling in Classic WoW. There are levels where grinding is literally just as fast, or could even be faster than questing, and if you have skinning while grinding beasts at level 40+, you start making pretty good gold. Number two, and this one could even play more of a factor, is that in a fresh environment, people focus on leveling fast. Skinning a mob takes time, and speed levelers don't want to sacrifice that time to skin a mob. This leaves thousands of dead bodies on the ground, which you can then skin, and this will give you a bunch of gold over time. Additionally, you can skin inside a lot of dungeons, and if nobody else in the group has skinning, that is literally free gold. You also have herbalism and mining, which can be split into two separate types of farming. You can follow a specific farming route, where you run from one node to another and farm, or you can camp in a high density spawn location with 5 to 6 nodes spawning all around you. There's, for example, a very lucrative cave in the hinterlands if you have both herbalism and mining, where you can find ghost mushrooms and mithril veins. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about professions today. Let me know your favorite profession for gold making in the comments down below. Check out my classic WoW gold making guide for way more information for gold making. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon.